Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Emmy. This is day 8 of the 12 days of Yule. If you're jumping in now, the 12 days of Yule is my daily practice at end of year. I go from December 20th through the 31st, and it's a really good opportunity for me to reflect on what I may want to continue to do throughout 2026, what feels aspirational, what maybe I want to begin to close out, wrap up, so I could make room for new opportunities in the new year. And I have this designed in a way where every day is a different focus. I have different prompts, different questions I like to think very deeply about. If you want to follow along, if you're not a witch yourself, then you could treat this as inspiration for journaling. If you are a practicing witch, then you could also follow along, treat this as a guided daily ritual. You could also save these all up and do it all in one day if you'd rather one and done. And if you know that you've had quite a year in 2025, it could be a good opportunity for you to think more critically about what you may want to spellcast around in 2026. So it could be a matter of looking for a certain lunation or using a solstice or equinox, things of that nature. Figure out which one feels best for you. With this being day 8, and with us following the 12-house system of astrology as our guiding format. That means that today is an 8th house day. The 8th house in astrology is all about mental health, sexuality, transformation, the occult, other people's resources like collaborations, joint ventures, grants, loans, scholarships, death, and other things that we leave behind. A few fun things to help anchor the 8th house, because this is another one that I think does have a stigma attached to it, where in some cases called the death house. That can be very alarming for some people. That could be deeply confusing. It could be prematurely traumatizing if you pull up your chart and then you find out you have a stellium in the 8th house and you're like, does that mean I'm going to die early? It does not mean that. There is none of that. It could definitely put some astrologers who are newer, maybe not as comfortable talking about death, in a weird position. So I do think that it's one that you should pace yourself, give yourself a bit more time consideration as we navigate the 8th house themes, because there is like a multifaceted aspect to it. It does feel a little bit less hodgepodgey when looking at all of it, because when we think about the 8th house, if the first house is Aries, the 8th house is Scorpio. And Scorpio in modern astrology is ruled by Pluto. So there is this element of wealth, of the underworld. Classically, the 8th house is called the Gate of Hades, and it is the domain of all those Hadean underworld themes. The Latin name for Hades is Pluto, which comes from the Greek word Plutos. It's really going into this being a threshold for life and death. The sun is passing through the 8th house before casting down into the underworld below the western horizon. So there is this kind of gravity of like finality that can come with it. Folks with significant placements in the 8th house may feel drawn to grief work, to death work, to even treating astrology as more of a deeper, meditative, life-changing exercise. A lot of people with 8th house placements might consider becoming death doulas at some point, or being drawn to grief work. I do know a lot of people who have 8th house placements that are practicing therapists that tend to draw in a lot of people who are doing not just general mental health work, but going and doing deeper trauma work, doing a lot of investigating their neurodivergence, things of that nature. I do feel like that is absolutely true to form for 8th house people. So it's not that you're destined to die like tomorrow. It does mean that there might be more of a heaviness or a gravity that can come with the things that one encounters, whether you have any particular 8th house placements or if you have anything transiting there, either currently or wrapping up. The 8th house is also these material assets, the outside resources. If you've been following along, we are now more firmly in the part of the process where We have the houses opposing each other as far as what we are reflecting on and what we are able to see any trends popping up potentially. The 8th house is opposite the 2nd house. The 2nd house is about how are you making money. The 8th house can really speak to how we are receiving money, with the 8th house being about these outside resources. That's where we're getting revenue that maybe could be shared, about debts, grants, loans, taxes, inheritances. Could also be the receiving of mutual aid as well. I love the way that Robert Hand puts it. We want to call it a death house, but it's really a house of resurrection, that the old order has to expire in order for the new one to begin. There is a sense of renewal that comes with the destruction, with the ending. And there should be a sense of hope that some of us can hopefully arrive to after doing the work itself. 8th house symbolism can feel heavy, it can feel grave, but it can also be a great indication as we're navigating 8th house themes about what it is that you have outgrown that needs to be removed from your life. And therefore, you're really getting a new lease on life potentially, that you're being granted new freedom, new everything, that you're able to shed the old and then move into the new. The scorpionic energy is so heavy with this one. It is depth oriented. It is about uncovering truth related things. It could maybe be a little bit jarring, perhaps, as we unravel a few of these, but I do think that as we continue to proceed, continue to reflect on 8th housey things in life and in today's exercise for the ritual, is allowing ourselves to confront what is maybe nearing its end, or a part of it may need to end in order for the new growth to come through. With mental health being an aspect too, transformation is never easy. That in order for a butterfly to be a butterfly, there's the cocoon process where they literally become liquid goo before being this gorgeous, astounding thing. And no one ever says psychological healing was easy. On to the questions. How can you make room for your grief? Do you have any grief rituals that are meaningful to you, or any that you could begin to implement in the new year to help you honor loss? It could be the loss of a person. It could also be the loss of identity or anything else that was significant in your life that is no longer present. I'm going to include information as well. I'll figure out the linking situation. It'll be in the description. The video that I posted about how all of the different cultural ways that we could have a Day of the Dead or an ancestral veneration sort of ritual. It could be Day of the Dead, could be All Souls Day, could be Parentalia. I encourage you to consider what is open source, what is aligned with your culture that you could lean on, or you can create something totally anew. Are you letting yourself feel your feelings? Have you overcorrected when it comes to self-care, like self-improvement? Have you in fact been intellectualizing your feelings? Where do you feel joy in your body? Where do you feel your anger? Where does sadness show up? A buddy of mine is a therapist, mentioned that if you're hitting a wall with therapy where you've done a lot of the big things, there's this whole concept of values work, of goals work, where you've chipped away at one particular problem that may have been the catalyst for starting therapy. You can begin to shift to the big picture work, to the things that are pertaining to your mental health and how you navigate the world that may not actively be on fire, but at the same time, you could look, when you begin to look at it more critically, you realize, oh, this is a crutch. I've been going on autopilot. This behavior, this attitude, this part of my life could bear addressing now that I have more capacity to deal with it. Is 2026 a year for pitching yourself? Applying for grants, for loans, crowdfunding, maybe getting something off the ground that is either something you already have going on, or you're trying to help establish, are your current collaborations really working for you? Or is it time to either deepen or to seek out new connections entirely? If you're an independent scholar, is it time to go back to school and maybe to apply for scholarships, for grants, or if there is anything available in the public world to help fund your independent research to help you go even deeper? Then what is worth considering that up to now you haven't been able to make the time to fully prioritize that? For instance, when in working on my program Underworld-ing, that's something that I was very committed to, going to local university libraries. And every time I go, I walk through the halls, I walk through the libraries, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna get sucked back in. I'm gonna get sucked back in. I'll go on JSTOR, I'll feel like the surge for a moment, and I'll get that feeling of, oh, if only I was funded to do this, I would use all those resources so well. I knew that was true for me in undergrad. I did get a lot of funding. I did get a lot of scholarships, and I could spend forever in a library. Is it a matter of thinking about going back to basics, things that have ended that you could revisit, and how could you apply that? How could you apply that to how you may want to approach the project that you have on your plate, or you may want to breathe life into it, bring it out into the world? Sexuality. How is that for you? Is it time to work with a therapist if there's any residual traumas, any things that are being stirred up? Even talking to doctors if there's physical things going on that maybe you want to navigate, or sometimes physical issues can then lead to other kinds of dysfunction. Is it worth talking about that whole holistic everything? Also, if you feel like there's a confidence issue because you haven't been asking for what you want in that arena, is it time to begin to work on that? Is this even a priority for you? Or is it time to name that it's a little bit more complicated than that, that there is zero interest, that there's a lot of interest? And what can you do to begin to communicate what will make you feel really cared for? And how can you begin to claim your actual identity? What is your relationship to death, to end of life? Do you fear it? Have you had any close calls, either yourself or with people who are close to you? Are your own affairs in order? Advance directives, your last wishes, disposition? Do you want a death doula to hold vigil for you or to offer ritual? Do you consider yourself a witch or an occultist? Are you more drawn to creating a relationship with plant allies, local spirits? Or do you feel more so curious about how does magic work? How to manipulate the energies and exact your will in the universe? What do you want to commit to deepening in the new year? It could be a matter of expanding on your current practice, allowing for more mixing the magical and the mundane, being more in flow with the seasons. It could be a matter of, if you're following your perfection year, thinking about your Time Lord the way that I have been. It could be a matter of even thinking, okay, what's happening with Mercury this year? Oh, Jupiter is going to go from Cancer into Leo. How will that impact me? Is there any magic I want to do around that? And if you feel potentially like you're more so curious, I'm drawn to study, I want to know so badly about these deeper inner workings, is it time to learn more about the history of the occult, the foundations of how magic is able to magic? That is all for today's video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you're able to take a pause if need be. Take care of yourselves, do what you gotta do. I want to take a moment to thank my patrons for sponsoring this video. Thank you to my Conjurer tier patrons, Georgia, Karina, Jess, Lara, The Wowls, and Mallow. Thank you all so much. And let me know if you guys have any questions, any feelings that come up with this one, because I know it's a little bit of a heavier mix, but I do think that every part of our chart has a function. I try to treat things with either a sense of neutrality, openness, as opposed to it has to be only one thing or another. I hope this helps you if this is an area of your chart that has felt daunting, and I hope this gives you a little bit of direction. Otherwise, I will see you all for day 9 of the 12 days of Yule. Bye for now.